Hello everyone, welcome to this week's GT Sport Daily Race C Strategy Guide. We are going back to Suzuka circuit just a week after we were there in the Group 2 machines, but this time we're going to be in an N200 car. It's going to be a one-make race. We do not know what the car is at the moment, but we do know what the settings are going to be. We've got 8 laps to get round, fuel consumption at times 4, tyre wear at times 16. We've got a grid start with a full start check, and we've just got the Sports Hard tyre to use. So as I said, we do not know what car it is at this point. All will be revealed on the Monday morning. But I did sort of jump into a few of the usual suspects in N200 in the Mazda Roadster touring car at the moment, into the Toyota 86 GT Limited. Really just trying to get a feel for what car I thought might be best suited to the track, and sort of just checking out the sort of fuel consumption of the various cars, just to see if any kind of car particularly stood out on the fuel. With the fuel being set at times 4, I thought maybe there's going to be a car out there that's going to be struggling on fuel, which might bring a little bit of a strategy into it. But the upshot is that no car that I tested from the usual suspects at N200 had any troubles with the fuel. The GT86 was pretty bad on fuel compared to some of the others, but it's definitely not going to be a fuel race this one. We did jump into the new Toyota Yaris GR Performance. Even though it's an N300 car, I thought maybe they're going to kind of give us this car to use at N200. Just give us something a little bit different in that category. But when it came down to it, I stuck to the Honda S2000. I do remember doing a daily race C in this car at this track a long time ago, and it's a good fit for the circuit. It's a very nice car to drive, so that was a car that I decided to take out. I thought I would do 8 laps in this car as in a race distance, just get an idea of what the tyre wear was going to be like, and just so we can get to see whether there's going to be any strategy for this one. I suspect there wasn't going to be, despite the tyre wear being at times 16. You can see there is a little bit of wear there on the tyres, maybe around about 20% on the fronts, maybe around about 15 to 17% on the rears. It doesn't really affect the performance of the car hugely over the course of a race distance, but you're definitely starting to slow down a little bit, and there probably will be a benefit to having some fresh tyres for the second half of the race. So we decided we'd do another couple of laps, go into the pit lane, put on a fresh set of tyres, refuel back up to what sort of fuel level you'd be at if you were making a pit stop after lap 4, and I'd get a sort of feel for how much of a sort of lap time gain I would get on the fresh tyres. So that's what we're going to look at next. We've got our new tyres on. We're sort of doing mid 2 minutes 34s on the other set of tyres. Bear in mind now we've got a fresh set of tyres, we've got much lower fuel, obviously the fuel being at times 4, you're going to have a much lighter car, but the difference in lap time is not that dramatic, to be honest with you. It is a very long lap in these cars at this circuit, over 2.5 minutes. You'd expect to gain a lot more than just around about a second is what we were gaining on the fresh tyres. So it really very much looks like, unless the pit stop is incredibly short like it is in Group 2, that this is going to be a no-stopper, which is what you would expect. Generally when we're in a road car in a daily race at sea, it is always a no-stop. But I had a little bit of hope that this one might be just a little bit different with those settings, with the tyre wear being so high and the fuel, but it's not looking that way. Now do bear in mind that this race is a grid start with a full start check. These cars are pretty low powered at N200, so it's probably a sort of toss up whether you're going to need traction control or not. But obviously a grid start at least makes things quite interesting into those first few corners, if nothing else. Expect to pick up quite a lot of penalties over the course of the week if you're going to do this race at those first few corners as the grid sorts itself out. But the purpose of this little test we're going to take a look at now is to sort of see what that pit loss is going to be. Now if you remember back a couple of weeks when we were in the Group 2 cars, it was only 4 seconds of a pit loss. If it was to be the same in the M200 cars, then there is the possibility of maybe going for a one-stop strategy, putting on those fresh tyres, and maybe being able to kind of work your way back up through the pack. But you can see the issue here. There's a big difference between the pit stop in the M200 class as compared to Group 2, with a much longer delay between the car entering the pit lane and getting into the box. And as we exit the pits here, pit loss is actually going to come in at a rather massive 12.5 seconds. So it is now confirmed this is very much a no-stop race. There is simply no way on earth you're going to make up 12.5 seconds. You would have to be gaining over 3 seconds a lap on the fresh tyres to come even remotely close to making this strategy work. And as you can see from earlier on, The new tyres will only warp around about 1 second, so that is this one pretty much settled when it comes to strategy. So I was very much in two minds on whether to do a strategy guide for this race. Generally when it's a road car in daily race C, there is no strategy involved, and of course this one is now proven to be no different, despite the fact that the settings are quite extreme in terms of tyre wear and fuel consumption. But in the sort of sake of just keeping the channel consistent and making this obviously a weekly feature, I just decided to buckle down, put out a short video and keep the flow of videos kind of consistent. Anyway, this race is not without its merits, at least with the tyre wear at times 16. There is a little bit of kind of strategy in terms of looking after your tyres. The better you can look after your tyres in this race, the better shape you will be in towards the closing laps. So in that regard, I don't think it's a terrible race, even though we don't know what car it is. Most of the cars are tested, but actually quite good fun to drive. So we'll wrap the video up there. Maybe see you on the track in this one. Do say hello in the lobby if you are in the same one as me. And until then, and until the next video, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you on the next one. Goodbye now.